The massive Imperial ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their metal hulls gleaming under the distant starlight. There were 12 vessels in total, each one bigger than the largest cities on Earth. They moved with confidence, certain of their welcome. After all, every other civilization had greeted them with awe and submission. In the Earth Defense Force headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, red lights flashed across every screen. Admiral James Morrison stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main display with calm eyes. The rest of the command staff held their breath, years of preparation finally being put to the test. "They're exactly where we expected them to be," Morrison said quietly. "Right on schedule." His second-in-command, Colonel Ryan Baker, nodded beside him. The Empire's first contact protocols are nothing if not predictable. They always send 12 ships. They always position themselves just past the last planet's orbit. On the massive screen, the Imperial vessels began to form their standard formation, a perfect circle meant to demonstrate both their technical superiority and military might. The Empire had used this same tactic on 100 worlds before Earth. "All defense systems are active," reported Lieutenant Emma Wilson from her station. "The null field is holding steady at 100% coverage of the solar system." Morrison allowed himself a small smile. For 20 years, Earth had prepared for this moment, while the Empire thought they were dealing with yet another primitive civilization that had just discovered radio waves. Humanity had been secretly studying them, learning their weaknesses, and building defenses that would work even when their technology was neutralized. The first transmission from the Empire arrived right on schedule. The Universal Translator picked it up immediately. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are representatives of the Galactic Empire, bringing peace and prosperity to all civilized worlds. Prepare to receive our diplomatic vessel and begin integration procedures." The command center remained silent as Morrison stepped forward. They had rehearsed this moment countless times, but now it was real. He pressed the communication panel and spoke clearly. "This is Earth Defense Force Command to Imperial vessels. This system is closed to Imperial vessels. Depart immediately." For several long moments, there was no response. Then the Imperial transmission returned, this time with a hint of amusement in the translator's rendering. "Perhaps there has been a misunderstanding. We are the Galactic Empire. We represent 10,000 star systems. Resistance is not an option available to you." Morrison exchanged glances with Colonel Baker. Right on script, just as their intelligence had predicted. The Empire's arrogance was their greatest weakness. "Imperial vessels," Morrison replied. "There is no misunderstanding. Your presence is not welcome in this system. You have 30 minutes to begin departure procedures. This will be your only warning." The next response came faster, all trace of amusement gone. "This is Fleet Commander William Roberts of the Imperial First Contact Division. Your defiance is noted but unnecessary. We bring advancement and protection. Do not force us to demonstrate our power." Morrison pressed a different button on his console. Across the solar system, hidden satellites activated, creating a web of energy that was invisible to Imperial sensors. Earth's greatest advantage was that they had developed their technology along a completely different path than the Empire. Where the Empire had focused on overwhelming force, Earth had pursued subtle manipulation of natural laws. "Colonel Baker," Morrison said calmly, "are the null field generators at full power?" "Yes, sir." "Ready on your command." Morrison nodded. "Lieutenant Wilson, please transmit the prepared data package to the Imperial fleet. Let them see exactly what they're dealing with." The data package contained carefully selected information about Earth's defensive capabilities, just enough to make them cautious, not enough to reveal their true advantages. The Empire needed to understand that this wouldn't be like their other conquests. As the data transmitted, Morrison watched the Imperial ships on the display. Soon, they would have to make a choice: respect Earth's wishes or try to force their way in. Either way, humanity was ready. "And now," Morrison said softly, "we wait to see if they're smart enough to take the hint. The command center settled in for what everyone knew would be a very interesting day. Earth had just done what no civilization had dared to do in 10,000 years. They had said no to the Empire, and they had the power to back it up. 3 days after Earth's warning, the Empire made its move. A single ship, smaller than their massive warships but still impressive, crossed the boundary line. Its silver hull sparkled as it moved confidently toward Mars, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Admiral Morrison watched the approaching vessel with practiced calm. "Right on time," he said. "They always send a diplomatic ship to test the waters." Dr. Thomas Reed, the chief scientist behind Earth's defensive systems, stood next to the Admiral. His plain white lab coat stood out among the military uniforms. "They think we're bluffing," he said with a slight smile. "They always do." The Imperial diplomatic vessel, named Starbridge, continued its approach. Its captain, a decorated Imperial officer named Robert Wells, had carried out first contact missions on 30 different worlds. He had never failed to establish Imperial control. "They're entering the outer null field now," Lieutenant Wilson reported, her eyes fixed on her screens. "Impact in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Starbridge continued its smooth flight path. Then, one by one, its systems began to fail. Inside the Imperial ship, chaos erupted. Captain Wells watched in disbelief as his advanced technology shut down. First the weapons, then the shields, followed by the main engines. Even their basic computer systems flickered and died. "What's happening?" he demanded, but his crew had no answers. Their mighty ship, pride of the Imperial diplomatic fleet, was being reduced to a floating piece of metal. Back in the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Morrison nodded to Dr. Reed. "Show them what else we can do." Reed typed a series of commands into his console. The null field, invisible but powerful, shifted its properties. Now, instead of just neutralizing Imperial technology, it began to power Earth's own systems. A small Earth shuttle approached the helpless Imperial vessel. Unlike the Starbridge, it moved smoothly through space, its systems working perfectly. The shuttle's pilot, Captain Jane Turner, guided her craft with expert precision. "This is Earth Defense Force Shuttle Alpha to Imperial vessel Starbridge," she transmitted. "It seems you're having some technical difficulties. Would you like assistance?" The frustration in Captain Wells' voice was clear even through the translator. "What have you done to our ship?" "Nothing permanent," Turner replied calmly. "Just a demonstration of why we ask you to stay out of our solar system. Don't worry. Your life support systems will continue to function. We're not monsters." Morrison watched as the shuttle attached itself to the Starbridge. His teams had practiced this procedure hundreds of times. They would board the Imperial vessel, demonstrate Earth's technological superiority up close, and then send them back with a message. Inside the Starbridge, the Imperial crew watched in amazement as Earth's soldiers boarded their ship wearing simple-looking spacesuits. The suits had none of the complex features of Imperial armor, yet they worked perfectly while Imperial technology lay dormant. Captain Turner led the boarding party. She handed Captain Wells a small data crystal. "This contains information your Empire needs to understand," she explained. "We've been watching you for decades. We know your strengths and weaknesses. We chose to develop our technology differently." Wells took the crystal, his hand shaking slightly. "How?" he asked. "How can you disable our system so easily?" Turner smiled behind her helmet visor. "Your Empire became too dependent on certain laws of physics. You never looked for alternatives. We did." The Earth teams worked quickly, placing small devices throughout the Starbridge. These would restore the ship's basic functions once it left the solar system, but only the basic functions. The Empire would learn that Earth could control exactly how much of their technology worked within its sphere of influence. "Remember this," Morrison's voice came through clearly to all Imperial crew members. "We don't want war. We don't want to join your Empire. We simply want to be left alone. The next ship that crosses our boundary won't be treated so gently." As the Earth teams withdrew, Captain Wells stared at the data crystal in his hand. In just 1 hour, everything he thought he knew about primitive worlds had been proven wrong. The Starbridge drifted at the edge of the solar system, waiting for its systems to come back online. Behind it, Earth's defenses stood ready, a clear message to the Empire. Some worlds were better left alone. The Imperial Senate chamber was massive, with tall crystal walls that reached into the clouds of the Empire's capital world. 10,000 senators from different worlds sat in rising circles, all focused on the center platform where Admiral Lisa Peters from Earth stood calmly. She wore a simple blue Earth Defense Force uniform, which looked plain compared to the fancy robes of the Imperial senators. But her presence commanded attention. She was the first human to ever stand in this chamber, and she wasn't here to surrender. "The facts are simple," Peters said, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "Earth has been watching your empire for 27 years. We developed our technology in secret. We chose not to contact you first. And now we choose to remain independent." The head senator, an old man named Marcus Gray, leaned forward in his floating chair. "You speak of choice," he said, "but there is no choice here. All worlds must join the Empire. This is how we maintain peace across the galaxy." Peters smiled slightly. "Is it peace, or is it control?" She pressed a button on her small device, and suddenly holograms appeared around the chamber. They showed different worlds in the Empire, all facing the same problems: heavy taxes, forced military service, loss of local culture. "This is outrageous," shouted one senator. "How did you get these images?" "We have had observers on hundreds of Imperial worlds," Peters replied calmly. "Your own citizens helped us. Not everyone loves the Empire as much as you think." The chamber erupted in angry shouts. Head Senator Gray raised his hand for silence. "You took a great risk coming here," he said to Peters. "We could arrest you right now." Peters laughed, actually laughed, in the Imperial Senate. "No, you couldn't." She pressed another button on her device. Immediately, all the floating chairs in the chamber dropped a few inches before their backup systems engage. A clear demonstration that Earth's null field technology could reach even here. "We don't want war," Peters continued as worried whispers spread through the chamber. "Earth simply wants to be left alone. But if you force us to defend ourselves, we will. And unlike the Starbridge incident, we won't be gentle." In the highest tier of the chamber, General Richard Stone of the Imperial Fleet watched with growing concern. He turned to his aide. "What do our spies report about Earth's capabilities?" "That's the problem, sir," the aide whispered. "Our spies can't operate on Earth. Their equipment doesn't work there. And the spies we sent, they never came back. They chose to stay on Earth." Down on the central platform, Peters was showing more evidence of Earth's preparation. "We have mapped every Imperial military base in this sector. We know your patrol routes, your response times, your weapon capabilities. We didn't spend 27 years sitting idle." "Why reveal all this?" asked a younger senator. "Why not just hide behind your defensive screen?" "Because we want you to make an informed decision," Peters answered. "You can waste ships and lives trying to break through our defenses, or you can accept that one small corner of the galaxy chooses to remain free." Head Senator Gray stood up, his face red with anger. "No world has ever refused membership in the Empire. The consequences, Peters interrupted, will be your problem, not ours. How many ships are you willing to lose? How will you explain to your people that your mighty fleet can't defeat one primitive world?" She turned slowly, looking at all the senators. "But more importantly, what happens when other worlds learn it's possible to say no? We're not the only ones watching and waiting." This caused the loudest outcry yet. The idea that other worlds might follow Earth's example clearly frightened many senators. As the shouting continued, Peters activated her personal shield. Unlike Imperial shields, it worked perfectly in the chamber. "You have one standard month to make your decision," she announced. "Full recognition of Earth's independence, or find out just how many other surprises we've prepared." With that, she walked out of the Imperial Senate chamber, leaving chaos behind her. As she reached her ship, Peters contacted Earth. "Message delivered," she reported to Admiral Morrison. "Now we wait to see if they're smart enough to make the right choice." The Empire faced its greatest crisis in 10,000 years. One small world had challenged everything they believed about their power. And deep in the Senate chamber, many senators wondered, what else had Earth been planning during those 27 years of watching and waiting? The Imperial stealth ship, Shadow Walker, crept toward Earth's orbit, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to normal detection. Captain David Miller, one of the Empire's best spy commanders, felt confident. No defense system had ever detected his ships before. In his underground laboratory on Earth, Dr. Thomas Reed watched the approaching ship on his special screens. He sipped his coffee and pressed the intercom button. "Admiral Morrison, they're testing us again. Stealth ship this time." Morrison's voice came back tired but amused. "That's the third attempt this week. What should we show them this time?" Reed stroked his gray beard thoughtfully. "Well, we used the gravity flip on Monday and the energy reversal on Wednesday. Let's try something new." His fingers danced across his control panel, adjusting the null field's properties. Up in space, Captain Miller's confidence suddenly vanished as his ship's cloaking device not only failed but reversed. Instead of being invisible, the Shadow Walker now glowed bright pink, visible to every telescope on Earth. "Impossible," Miller shouted as his crew tried desperately to shut down the glowing effect. "Nothing can detect our stealth technology, let alone change it." A friendly voice came over their communication system. "Good morning, Shadow Walker. Enjoying the light show? Don't worry, the pink glow won't damage your ship. We just thought you needed some color." In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Colonel Baker couldn't help laughing at the sight on their main screen. "Dr. Reed, you have a strange sense of humor." Reed's voice came back cheerful. "Sometimes the best defense is making your enemy look silly. Their stealth ships rely on bending light. We just unbent it and added some color for fun." The Shadow Walker retreated quickly, its crew thoroughly embarrassed. But this was just one of many attempts by the Empire to test Earth's defenses that week. Near Mars, another Imperial ship tried to deploy tiny spy drones. The null field turned them into bubbles that floated harmlessly through space. A cyber attack through the galaxy's communication network bounced back, filling Imperial computers with pictures of cats. "They're getting desperate," Morrison said during the daily briefing. "Each failure makes them try something more creative." Dr. Reed nodded, bringing up a hologram of Earth's defense layers. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with. The Empire built their technology like a tower, each new advancement stacked on top of old ones. We built ours like a tree, branching out in all directions." Lieutenant Wilson reported from her station. "Sir, we're detecting another ship approaching. This one's different. It's using old technology. Really old." Reed rushed to his console. "Clever. They think if they use primitive technology, our null field won't affect it." Morrison smiled. "Show them why that won't work either." The Imperial ship, using engines similar to Earth's first space rockets, suddenly found itself surrounded by a friendly fleet of Earth's ships. Captain Turner's voice transmitted clearly. "Welcome. Since you're using such basic technology, we thought you might need help navigating. Would you like a tour of our solar system?" The Imperial ship turned around so fast it nearly broke apart. Later that day, in his private lab, Dr. Reed showed Morrison their latest analysis. "Every time they try something new, we learn more about their technology. They're teaching us all their tricks." Morrison looked concerned. "Can they learn about our technology the same way?" Reed shook his head. "That's the beauty of it. The null field doesn't just stop their technology, it hides how it works. They can't study what they can't detect." Suddenly, alarms blaze. Lieutenant Wilson's voice came through. "Sir, Multiple ships detected at the edge of the system. At least 30 of them. Morrison and Reed rushed to the main command center. The Empire had sent its largest fleet yet, and this time they had something new. Huge ships carrying what looked like massive energy collectors. They think they can gather enough power to break through the null field, Reed said, already typing commands. Should we show them what happens when we turn their own energy against them? Morrison nodded. Let's make this lesson very clear. The Empire needs to understand. Every attack makes us stronger, every test teaches us more, and every failure brings them closer to having to accept our terms. As Earth's defense systems powered up, the command center crew settled in for another interesting day of showing the Empire why some boundaries shouldn't be tested. Deep in an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Captain Mark Anderson guided his merchant ship through a hidden passage. The ship looked old and basic from the outside, perfect for not drawing attention. But inside, it carried Earth's most important secret. Cargo secure, his first officer, Linda Cooper, reported. The null field generators for the Resistance on Beta 9 are ready for delivery. Anderson nodded, checking their secret route on his screens. The Empire thought Earth was completely isolated, defending only its own solar system. They were wrong. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Admiral Morrison tracked Anderson's ship on a special display. How many worlds are we helping now? He asked Dr. Reed. 15, Reed replied, adjusting his glasses. All of them tired of Imperial control. All of them ready to build their own null fields. He paused, smiling. The Empire thought they could trap us in our solar system. Instead, they gave us time to build a network. Suddenly, Lieutenant Wilson called out, "Sir, Imperial spy drone detected near Trading Station 6. Morrison straightened. Trading Station 6 was supposed to be a secret. It was one of Earth's hidden bases where they met with rebels from other worlds. How did they find it? They got lucky, Reed said, watching the data. A random patrol. But this could be a problem. The Imperial drone transmitted its discovery before Earth's defenses could stop it. Soon, the Empire would know they weren't dealing with just one rebellious world. They were facing an underground movement. In the Imperial Palace, General Stone burst into the head senator's private chamber. "Sir, you need to see this immediately." He played the drone's recording. It showed Earth ships meeting with vessels from at least 5 different Imperial worlds. They were exchanging technology, information, and most importantly, hope. Impossible, Head Senator Gray whispered. Earth is supposed to be trapped behind their defensive screen. How are they reaching other worlds? Back in Earth's space, Anderson's ship completed its delivery and headed home through another secret route. Earth had spent years mapping the forgotten paths between stars, the ones the Empire's big ships couldn't use. Command Center, Anderson reported. Package delivered. Beta 9 says thank you. Their null field will be operational within 1 month. Morrison allowed himself a small smile. Good work, Captain. How many other worlds asked for help this time? 3 more, Anderson replied. Word is spreading. Every world that successfully breaks free encourages others to try. Dr. Reed pulled up a galactic map in the command center. Small lights showed all the worlds that had contacted Earth for help. It's not just about technology anymore, he said. We're showing them something more important. That resistance is possible. The Empire's response came faster than expected. A fleet of Imperial ships appeared near Trading Station 6, but they found nothing. Earth had already evacuated the base and moved their operations. They still don't understand, Morrison said, watching the Imperial ships search empty space. We didn't build walls to hide behind. We built bridges to reach others. Lieutenant Wilson's voice carried excitement. Sir, new message from the Resistance on Colony World 7. They've successfully tested their null field. The Imperial ships there. They just left. In the Imperial Senate, chaos erupted as reports came in from across the galaxy. World after world was beginning to show signs of Earth-like technology. The Empire's grip was slipping. "Don't they see what's happening?" one senator shouted. "Earth isn't trapped in isolation. They're spreading their defiance everywhere." Back on Earth, Morrison met with his senior staff. "The Empire knows now," he said. "They'll try to stop our network." Dr. Reed seemed unconcerned. "Let them try. Our ships are smaller, our routes are secret, and our allies grow stronger every day. We've given them something the Empire can't destroy: knowledge." Anderson's ship returned safely, already preparing for its next secret mission. As he walked through Earth Defense Headquarters, he saw the latest message from their allies displayed on the main screen. "We are many. We are ready. We are free." The Empire had made a crucial mistake. They thought forcing Earth into isolation would weaken it. Instead, they had given Earth time to perfect its technology and share it with others. Now, their mighty empire faced its greatest fear: not one rebellious world, but many, all working together in secret, all waiting for the right moment to stand up and say, "No more." The hidden truth was out. Earth wasn't alone anymore. The Empire's largest fleet ever assembled filled the space at the edge of Earth's solar system. 500 warships, their massive hulls blocking out the stars, prepared for what they believed would be their final attack on Earth. Admiral Morrison stood in the Earth Defense Force Command Center, his face calm despite the threat. "They brought everything they had," he said, studying the enemy fleet. "Just as we expected." Dr. Reed worked at his control panel, making final adjustments to the null field. "They still think they can overwhelm our defenses with sheer numbers. Should we show them their final mistake?" The Imperial fleet was led by General Stone himself, commanding from his flagship, Empire's Glory. He addressed all his ships. "Today we end this rebellion. Earth's defiance stops now. All ships, advance." The massive fleet moved forward together, their engines lighting up space. On Earth, Lieutenant Wilson monitored their approach. "They're trying something new, sir. The ships are linked together, sharing power." "Clever," Reed nodded. "They think combining their energy will let them break through. They're about to learn why that's a very bad idea." The first wave of Imperial ships hit the outer edge of Earth's defensive zone. Their linked power systems surged, trying to force their way through the null field. For a moment, it seemed to work. Their systems stayed online. General Stone allowed himself a smile. "You see, nothing can stand against the full might of the Empire. All ships push forward." Then Dr. Reed pressed a single button. The null field didn't just stop the Imperial ships, it reversed their linked power system. Energy flowed backward through their connected fleet. Ships went dark, not one at a time, but in massive groups. The more they were connected, the faster the effect spread. "Status report," Stone demanded as his flagship's lights flickered. "It's impossible," his engineer shouted. "They're not just blocking our power, they're using it against us. The more power we send, the stronger their field becomes." In Earth's command center, Morrison watched the enemy fleet go dark. "Send the message," he ordered. Lieutenant Wilson opened all channels. "Attention Imperial fleet. Your ships are now powered down. Don't worry, we left your life support running. Would you like to discuss terms of surrender?" But the Empire wasn't finished. Stone ordered his remaining ships to launch everything they had: missiles, fighters, and energy weapons. "We cannot be defeated by one primitive world." The weapons never reached their targets. Inside the null field, they simply stopped working. Missiles turned into metal tubes, floating harmlessly in space. Energy weapons fizzled out. Fighter ships drifted powerless. Then Earth revealed its final surprise. Small ships emerged from hidden bases across the solar system. Each one was piloted by representatives from worlds the Empire had ruled. Allies Earth had helped free. "This is Captain Anderson on Unity 1. A clear voice transmitted to the Imperial fleet. "With me are ships from 15 freed worlds. We're here to help Earth escort you home." General Stone watched in disbelief as ships bearing the markings of various Imperial colonies moved confidently through space, their technology working perfectly while his mighty fleet floated helpless. "It's over, General," Morrison's voice came through clearly. "Your empire just learned its most important lesson. Bigger isn't always better. Quality beats quantity. And most importantly, freedom beats control." In the following hours, Earth's allies helped rescue Imperial crews from their dead ships. Many Imperial officers were shocked to see their former subjects operating advanced technology with ease. "How?" One Imperial captain asked his rescuer from Beta 9. "How did you all learn to do this?" The Beta 9 pilot smiled. "Earth didn't just give us technology. They taught us to think differently. Your empire builds walls. Earth builds bridges." Back in the command center, Morrison and Reed watched as the rescue operation continued. "They'll be back," Morrison said. "The Empire won't accept this easily." Reed shook his head. "No, they won't be back. Because right now, as we speak, 50 more worlds are activating their null fields. The Empire just lost control of an entire sector of space." He smiled. Sometimes the biggest empires fall not with a bang, but with a quiet click of a switch. The Empire had reached its breaking point. Their greatest attack had become their greatest defeat. And across the galaxy, worlds that had watched and waited now knew freedom was possible. Earth had shown them the way. The age of the Empire was ending. The age of freedom had begun. 1 year after the great battle in Earth's solar system, the Imperial Senate chamber looked very different. Where once only Imperial senators sat, now representatives from free worlds filled many seats. Earth's Admiral Morrison and Dr. Reed stood at the center, but not as rebels, as equals. Head Senator Gray, looking much older than a year ago, spoke first. "We are here to sign the Treaty of Sol, recognizing the independence of Earth and all allied worlds." His voice carried a mix of resignation and respect. Morrison stepped forward. "This treaty isn't about defeating the Empire," he said. "It's about building something new. The Free Systems Alliance is open to all worlds, even Imperial ones, if they choose to join as equals." The chamber had changed physically too. The grand Imperial symbols were gone, replaced by a simple star map showing both Imperial and free worlds. Earth's null field technology had spread faster than anyone expected, creating a new balance of power in the galaxy. Dr. Reed activated a hologram showing the new trade routes between free worlds. "Our technology worked because we chose a different path," he explained. "Now we offer that choice to everyone. No world should be forced to develop only one way." In the space around Earth, Captain Anderson's ship led a convoy of vessels from 30 different worlds. They carried scientists, engineers, and students, all coming to learn at Earth's new Galactic Technology Institute. "Remember when they thought they had trapped us in our own solar system?" Anderson asked his first officer, Linda Cooper, as they watched the ships dock at Earth's orbital station. "Now we're the center of a new age," Cooper replied, checking the manifest of arriving students. "Every ship brings new ideas, new ways of thinking. We learn as much from them as they learn from us." Back in the Senate chamber, Morrison continued the ceremony. "The null field wasn't just a defense system," he said. "It was a choice to find our own way. Each world deserves that same choice." General Stone, now serving as a military advisor to the new alliance, stood to speak. "I commanded the fleet that tried to break Earth's defenses," he admitted. "I thought power meant forcing others to follow your path. Earth showed us there are many paths to the future." The treaty signing proceeded smoothly. Each world, whether formerly imperial or newly independent, had equal voice in the new alliance. The Empire would continue to exist, but as one power among many, not the ruler of all. In his laboratory on Earth, Dr. Reed trained teachers from different worlds how to build and maintain null field generators. But more importantly, he taught them to think creatively, to look for new solutions. "The technology isn't the real gift," he told his students. The real gift is the freedom to choose your own path. Some worlds will focus on energy research, others on environmental technology, others on space exploration. All paths are valid. Lieutenant Wilson, now Commander Wilson, reported from her new post at the Alliance Communications Center. "Sir, we're receiving requests from 50 more worlds wanting to join the Alliance, and not just for the technology. They want to contribute their own discoveries." Morrison smiled. Earth had never wanted to replace the Empire's control with its own. Instead, they had created something new, a network of free worlds, each developing in its own way, sharing knowledge but maintaining independence. The Treaty of Seoul was signed with little ceremony, but great meaning. As the representatives filed out of the Senate chamber, many stopped to thank Earth's leaders for showing them a different way. "What happens now?" a young senator asked Morrison. "Now," Morrison looked out at the stars through the chamber's crystal walls. "Now we explore the galaxy together. Not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. There are still so many mysteries out there, so many new paths to discover." In Earth's orbit, the first graduating class of the Galactic Technology Institute prepared to return to their home worlds. They carried with them not just technical knowledge, but a new way of thinking about progress and freedom. Captain Anderson prepared to lead their escort fleet home. "Ready for another adventure?" he asked his crew. The ships lifted off one by one, each heading to a different corner of the galaxy. But they weren't running away or hiding anymore. They were building bridges between worlds, sharing knowledge, and proving that the best defense isn't a wall to keep others out. It's having friends who stand beside you. Earth's ban on the Empire had evolved into something greater, an open invitation to all worlds to find their own path to the future. The age of control was over. The age of choice had begun.